and welcome to Live to Be Well. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
And I'm Micha ML6 Logan.
What's going on, Micha?
Hi, how are you?
It's so good to see my beautiful daughter. And to all of you that's viewing from all around the country and around the world, thank you for taking time out to be a part of Live to Be Well. This month is Suicide Prevention Month, also mental health. But you know what, ML6, mental health is every day. Things that we deal with in our lives, the ups and the downs, the difficulties, the stressors. And so I'm so excited to have Dr. Duane Wilson, and I'm going to allow you the opportunity to introduce him to our viewing audience and what we're going to talk about. And Dr. Kim will be back in a little while.
Awesome. All right. Good evening, everybody. Hope that you all are having a great week, fantastic week. It's the end of the day. I just want to thank you all for joining us, even at this hour, no matter where you are in the country. Today, I have a very, very special guest. His name is Dr. Duane Wilson. He is CEO of Wilson Innovative Solutions and Wiz Education. He has a new book that is actually out today. It's called Cybersecurity by MIT Press. And we want you all to make sure that you support it to get more information, because with everything being on the internet, I'm talking about from how we pay our bills, how we stay connected. We want to make sure that we have the proper information going forward. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to introduce him today, because he is my brother. Yes. Growing up, everyone thought that I was a part of his family, that his parents birthed me. If you saw his sister, if you know his sisters, I literally look just like them. So coming to the stage is my brother, Dr. Duane Wilson, again, CEO of Wilson Innovative Solutions. Congratulations on your book drop, brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Love to talk about my field and the relevance to like everything that we do on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, good to be amongst family.
Well, I'm going to just let you talk about, your book, the reason for putting out the book, also how it relates to mental health. Go.
Sure. So the book, not very creative in the titling, is called Cybersecurity. How I got into writing it, I have a good friend, Dr. Jeremy Matthews, who actually works for MIT Press. So they were looking for someone a year or so ago to write a book on cybersecurity. Yeah, thanks for the promo. You can get the book on Amazon, Google Books, BarnesandNoble.com. Just Google my name and cybersecurity at MIT, and you'll find it. So he asked me to write a book on cybersecurity, and what intrigued me about the whole Essential Knowledge series from MIT Press is the fact that it's something that they try to do to make a technical topic accessible to everyone. And it's easy to write a book, when you have been in the field as long as me, that's for the technical community. But a lot of people who use the internet on a day-to-day basis are ignored in terms of the foundations of cybersecurity and why it should be important to them. So that's what kind of got me to write the book. In terms of the relationship to mental health, it should be pretty apparent now that we're online all the time, right? So even more so now because of COVID and all of us moving and transitioning to like, a remote workplace. I don't think even when COVID is dealt with and the cases are reduced, that we'll ever go back to kind of business as normal.
True.
And as a result, in addition to all the things that we talk about in the cyber community about protecting yourself on social media primarily, now it's even more important to make sure that you're safe online. And being online should be almost equivalent to how much time you spend offline. And that's where the intersection between cybersecurity and mental health, I think, comes into play.
So, Duane, let me ask you this. People who are even working in cybersecurity, they are dealing with high levels of stress, burnout. They even deal with suicide just because of the calls, the activity, and things of that nature. So on both sides of it, those who are wanting to be aware of cybersecurity and even those working in cybersecurity are dealing with the effects. Like, it's just so much. This might be the most since the internet came into play that people are really making sure, you know, their speeds are here and they're involved in being on the internet. This is probably like the most that anybody's been involved with the internet. So going forward, you know, from your expertise, what for people who are, do you recommend getting, you know, certain, what's the word I want to use? Like Norton and things of that nature on computers to help protect? Because here's the thing, when you get violated, it takes you through so many type of emotions. It's like you really feel like you've been robbed. And so what programs do you suggest for people to protect themselves online?
So I'm not a big fan of, like, you know, recommending vendor products, and not because yeah, I'm not paid by any of them to do so, but primarily the fact that it's really about like your behavior. So a lot of times I saw the question popped up, you know, what is the major fear of being online and cybersecurity in general? It's really how you behave. We have a lot more power as the consumer of an online resource than an adversary does in terms of like control over us. So the things that we should do is more so less application installation and depending on vendor products, even though a lot are good. What we should do is really adjust our behavior in terms of how we use you know, internet resources. So things like, as an example, going to well and trusted sites, right? You know, I don't have to talk, you know, on Christian programming about like the types of sites I'm talking about,
right?
And the ones to stay away from, right? So you know, that's one of the things. Always being aware of what you're putting online, because like Vegas, what you do when you go to Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right.
What you do online stays online, and it can never be erased, right? Even though there's a lot of communities now that are looking for ways to disconnect their regular profile with their online profile. It's very hard to erase anything that you posted online. And as it comes to like young people, especially those that are looking to enter into the workplace, they need to be particularly cautious about this because recruiters are paying a lot more attention to the things that you post. And you can't use the excuse anymore that, oh, this is my personal time, this is my personal space, because workplaces now, especially because there's a lot of remote work, it's all about culture, right? And so if you don't fit the cultural profile of the people that they're looking for because of your social media persona, you're going to have challenges, you know, moving forward. So
it's interesting
you
say that. It's interesting you say that because even now, the business cards are kind of becoming obsolete. The first thing people ask when they see you, they say, "Hey, what's your Instagram?"
Yep.
You know, that's literally like, especially within my field, what's your Instagram? So it's not even like, yo, you can't really have, like you said, a personal. It got to be all the way through. Like you just maybe have to have that, keep your stuff in the group chat, but in terms of your social media presence, it's very, very important. Well, Duane, listen, I think that this is very, you know, great information. I think cybersecurity, with the way of the world being so internet driven, people just need to have the understanding of how to protect themselves, their family, their finances, their information, so that you're not going to sleep at night feeling like someone just robbed me of everything and you're trying to get it back. Because what I'm also realizing is that the hackers, they're on another level. They're on another level. And if they want to get it, I mean, they're hacking into big corporations. And so if you're connected with that, I know my mother was saying earlier that there was something going on in Verizon. A few months ago, it was something going on with T-Mobile. And that
a few days ago, T-Mobile was a few days ago.
Okay, a few days ago was T-Mobile. People are really trying to ruin, so to speak, people's lives by getting that information. And I don't think companies were prepared for the level of intensity that these hackers were going to do, because it's affecting their customers. and ripping them of feeling safe. Because here's the thing, everybody has a cell phone.
Yep.
And everybody works and pays bills and does certain things from their cell phone. It's connected to their banks, it's a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, and even the application that we're using right now, StreamYard, as an example, these conversations are being breached. People are hopping in and out of Zoom calls that shouldn't be on there, and so it's, and as a consumer, all you have to be is someone who uses an online resource, right?
Yes.
You don't have to work for T-Mobile or Verizon
Right.
or Target, or any one of these major companies that have gotten hacked to be violated. So you can only do what it's in your control to do, and really just adjusting your behavior and reducing your online footprint as much as possible. Be careful what you post online, if I could leave people with something.
Be careful what you post online. Well, thank you, Dr. Wilson. Can we see the book? Do you have a physical copy?
Oh, sure. Of course. I have 15 copies that they gave me. But yeah, please support. That is my website down there. WilsonInnovativeSolutions.com. That's too hard to remember. WizEducation.org, or just Google me. Or hit me on LinkedIn. I am all over the internet right now. So I'm looking forward to talking more about my field that I love.
Awesome. Well, we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Now get back to your family and get some rest.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Right, take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye. Be careful what you put online. It is so imperative that you all understand that it is so imperative that you teach your children that not everything needs to go online. I know right now we are in a position where we feel like we have to show and we have to share and we have to do everything. Let me be clear with you. You don't. People do not have to know everything about you, and you do not have to know everything about other people. It's a feeling of entitlement that I'm noticing that is going around on social media that it's kind of annoying. People feel like if you don't show your baby when they want to see it, I don't have to show anything because you tell me to or because you ask me to. Even with celebrities, for whatever reason, we feel like they're supposed to do what we say because we want to see it or we want to hear it. They're people too, and they have lives too. And please keep in mind, hear me and hear me well. The internet is a highlight reel of your life. Not everybody is showing you everything in terms, like they'll show you what they want you to see. And from that, you can create a story and you can create a picture of their life. Not everybody's putting all the bad stuff on the internet that's happening in their lives. And I feel that the same discretion that you have about that, some things just keep to yourself. Just keep to yourself. You have to protect your peace at all costs. And sometimes that's not putting everything on the internet. It is okay to just live and not be. On this particular episode, we're definitely talking about and digging deep into Suicide Prevention Month, mental health, which is an everyday. At this point, there isn't a mental health month. Every day is a place for you to take care of your mental health. And let's write this down. Take a number. For those of you who do not know the National Suicide Prevention number, that number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-8255 is the number, the national number for people to call to get help if they are feeling down and out. I want everyone to understand, if you are going through it, you are not alone. You are not alone. There is help out there for you. Take the number, save the number. If you know someone that is going through and you feel like, I just don't know what to do, I don't know how to reach them, I don't know all of my advances, nothing is working, have them call people who literally do this all day long to get people through this process. Dr. Kim?
Well, listen, that I appreciate that. I was coming back with some more of that information a little bit later, but we need to have that number out there. Want to talk to you a little bit about suicide prevention, and the numbers are alarming. So I want to share this with you that in the last 2 decades, the biggest increase in self-reported suicide attempts was among Black adolescents. And in that, children under 13 years of age are dying by suicide. 13 years of age. And you may say to yourself, what does a 13-year-old have problems in? Dealing with depression, anxiety, divorce, bullying, dealing with weight issues, dealing with, acceptance, just all these things that they're dealing with, being able to be a part of that particular sect or not. Now, get this, they are dying by suicide at nearly twice the rate of white children the same age. So why is this happening, ML6? Because of the fact that they found that most of the Black children who died by suicide did not have a current mental health concern. But of those who did, the younger children were far more likely than the older children to have been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. The younger children were also more likely to have experienced problems in school within their families. For the girls, a diagnosis of depression or anxiety was more common than for boys. Again, trying to fit in. I'm too small. I'm too big. I'm not pretty enough. I'm too dark. It's just, where do I fit in all this? I'm white. I'm Black. I'm mixed. And so I don't understand all these things that's going on. And then I'm dealing with dynamics and problems in my home because my parents are going through divorce, or my father is incarcerated, or my mother, and I don't know what my family origin is. I don't even know who my father is. About 9% of the older girls experience a relationship crisis before the suicide. Did you hear me? A relationship crisis. These young girls are having sexual relationships, and they are, being toyed with. And then, I don't have time for you anymore. And you go home, and this child is now cutting and just slit their wrists and ready to die.
Yeah.
Now, and nearly 20% had an argument with 24 hours before their death. 24 hours, suggesting that conflict resolution skills and coping mechanisms might be possible intervention for Black girls. It is important that we implement conflict resolution skills and coping mechanism. The most common method of suicide among youth are hanging, suffocation, and strangulation. These children are hanging themselves. Now, another aspect is that the individuals who are dealing with these problems, such as me, I'm a professional, mental health. I have young people who come in to me. Let's first talk about what is mental health. It's a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. Coping with normal stresses of life. Good evening, Foxy Brown. Coping with normal stresses of life can work productively and fruitfully and is able to make a contribution to our or his community. Suicide prevention is a collection of efforts to reduce the risk of suicide. All right, taking an effort. This effort can impact individuals, relationships, families, even communities at large. So as a mental health specialist, what do I do? A young person walks into my office, and I have young people who have attempted to commit suicide. I said, let me see your wrists. And their wrists, ML6, and their arms are all cut up. And the thing about it, and some of them cut where you can't see it on their thighs in different places. I'm depressed. I'm unhappy. I don't fit in. I don't know who I am. I don't know how to be loved. I don't love myself. And then these behaviors, listen to me now, childhood traumas become adult traumas. And majority, I would say 90% of my adults who come to counseling are dealing with childhood traumas that they never dealt with. So a lot of individuals wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'd rather be dead. because I just got out of a relationship. I don't know how to cope without that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to continue to exist in the life that I am. I've just lost all my money in the stock market. Many years ago, before you were even born, and myself, people killed themselves when the stock market crashed, jumping out of windows and killing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, recognizing, and I'm gonna bring this back a little bit later, but having a sense of hope and healing through Jesus Christ, through God, being our source of help in these times of trouble. So let me say this: if you have teenagers in the household, young teenagers, and they are isolating themselves, schools are back open, ML6, and children are coming in and they're walking through the house. For a whole year, they've been in the house dealing with COVID. Now they're going back to school. They have to adjust to what? Peer pressure. They got to adjust because now in 2020, I fell behind in my classes. I did not know how to navigate this schoolwork, and I didn't have the help that I needed. So I'm sitting in class. I'm a fake it till I make it. You know, I'm just going to keep masking. You know, I posted something last week, stop masking, let's start mending. And so we need to look at what are the behavior traits of individuals, these children. Again, isolating, where they are in a place where they are consumed with how they look, or they don't even care. They come in, they have darkness around them. They have dark music around them. They don't want to eat. They don't want to engage with anyone. Just leave me alone. I just want to be left alone. Well, we can't leave you alone. We have to get to the root of the problem.
The root of the problem, yes.
I tell people who go through traumas in their lives, whether it's divorce, even if you remarry, you need to, or a death of a parent, a death of a loved one, I highly recommend counseling. A lot of people are opposed to counseling. I don't want people in my business. I can handle this myself. I don't need anybody telling me how to run my family. Sometimes, let me say this, you need a mediator. Be able to listen to the approach and tactics that you're using and help you find new perspectives and strategies to help your family. Pride goeth before the fall. This is not about pride. It's about saving your children's lives. Well, they're making good grades, Dr. Kim. They come home and do their chores, Dr. Kim. It's all good, Dr. Kim. Let me tell you something. It's not all good. They're masking. A lot of these children are masking. And then one day you walk in their bedroom and they've blown their brains out. So I say to you that suicide is high in the Black community.
It is.
Another reason why it's high, because they don't have mental health insurance. And I get calls all the time. Do you have a sliding scale? Is there any way you can help me? I'm in crisis, and I try to find a place where I can send them. Micha, I am booked 4 or 5 months in advance now. I am swamped, and I'm not working, quote, quote, the dollar bill. No, it's not about that. Helping people find relief, helping people find hope and healing. And what can I do to get to a better place in my life? ML6, we all have trauma.
Yes.
We all go through difficulty, but we have to find ways to cope. Good evening, Michael Jones. God bless you. We have to find ways. Good evening, Natasha Wilson. We have to find ways to help people look at their lives from a different perspective. If you go through a breakup, let me say this. If you go through a breakup and you want to work that situation out and that person is not open to it, let me tell you this. You have to wait. You have to be patient. But it doesn't mean you have to take your life. Young people, if you're listening to me right now or on the replay, if that young man breaks up with you, that's just one part of your life. It's not your whole life. And you are young, and then you're going to have many experiences, not too many, but experiences when it comes to friendships and relationships. And you will meet that wonderful person in your life that will become your spouse. To my older adults going through difficulties on your jobs, your homes, finances. I had a lady call me today. They switched her shift from 11 to 8. She said, Dr. Logan, who's going to get my daughter? She called me crying. I just need to hear somebody's voice, Dr. Kim. I know I'm not on your schedule today. I said, okay, give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me end my call. I'll call you right back. And I prayed with her. I said, we must come up with a solution. Someone in your village to help pick up your daughter in your situation, to help you in your situation. There is always an answer and a solution to your problem. Family difficulty, family separation, when siblings are not communicating, there is a solution to that problem. But you have to be willing to communicate. You know, Mike, I have a problem. This is my biggest problem. And people try to find healing through texting. You can't find healing through texting. You have to pick up the phone. You have to meet with the person and you have to talk with them. And I know everybody heals in their own way and time, but you have to be willing to reach out to that person who is hurting. Forgive that person. Micah, you said something to me not too few days ago. I release you. Let it go. You were talking to someone. You said, you are healed. You are healed. And that's what we
Oh, no, that's not what I said.
What did you say? What did you say? Tell me what you said.
I said, free yourself from being bound to feeling like I have something against you, because I don't. Free yourself of that. A lot of people are walking around thinking that people are feeling a certain way about them in a negative connotation. And the actuality is they're not. They're
Right.
not thinking about them like that. So you're walking around feeling bound and heavy because of maybe something that happened in the past. And because you feel regret, because you feel bad about it, you think that person is holding something against you, when in all actuality, they're not.
Right.
They're not.
They're not.
Like, you're literally allowing them to live rent free in your head. And that's just not what it should be. Literally free yourself. In the lease is done.
You know what? A friend of mine said to me, you know, I can't give this any more energy because it's too much. Something happened to me about 8 months ago. A person made a comment about daddy. And I said, you know, the Lord said, call that person and say, listen, you know, I have no ought against you. And, you know, and you are my friend and I appreciate you, love you. How are you doing? And that person was like, wow. About 8 weeks ago, a friend of mine's called me, you know, and this was an ex-boyfriend from 40 years ago. And he said to me, Kim, I apologize for hurting you. And I was just in shock. And I said to myself, it's okay. He said, no, it's not okay. And he said, I should have never ended the relationship with you. And even though he's married, children, he wanted to release that. I said, you are released. I released you a long time ago. But he never took the time to call me to apologize. 40 years later, I was sitting at my desk. Listen to me. I'm sitting at my desk and I see his name on the caller ID. I couldn't believe it. But 2 days prior, I prayed. The night before, I prayed, Lord, if anyone has a problem with me, help them release it. Call me, you know. And I'm like, I'm not holding you bound. Listen, these things are causing people to take their lives. Children, adolescents, and adults are committing suicide over misunderstanding, over relationships, over past hurts, over childhood trauma, over adult trauma. We need to be free from this by the will of God, and also recognizing where we are. We're all in different places in our lives. You may not heal the same way I do. You may not go through a trauma the way I do. You know, I may say things or do things to hurt you, but it's because I may be grieving. I may be going through something. But I say this to people, don't walk out on people. Don't walk out on their friendships. Help them through that and reap the benefits of the victory of their healing. And we're so quick to just cut people off, even when we're hurt, and we have to heal. I know that, I understand that, but we have to pick up the phone and we have to make things right. Because you know what, Micah? Jesus is coming, and we can't carry these things into the kingdom. And people want healing. Let me say 2 more things about suicide prevention. It is preventable if we catch it in time. Look out for the red flags. Look out for the red flags within your homes, within your children, within your community. Number 2, hold yourself accountable and be aware of what is going on within your household with depression, anxiety, stress. These are very prominent things that can cause people to take their lives. Overwhelmed. COVID has overwhelmed people. There was a young man who wrote a letter. He was 13 years old. And he wrote a letter. He said, I can't cope with COVID anymore. And he took his life. And so I say to you, be aware, hold yourself accountable, and reach into your friends. I have a friend, Rhonda Fuller. She does a wellness check. I need to hear from you. Just say hi, on social media. Do a wellness check with people. Are they okay? Are you doing all right? If you haven't talked to them in weeks or months, do a wellness check. Check on your friends. Check on your family members. Check on one another, because that person could be contemplating suicide, ML6.
Those are all amazing points, and those are all great things. But I also want to just add a little something to that. I do not want you to feel, people have to understand that just because people forgive you, that does not mean that they have to welcome you back into their life. You have to understand and be okay with that.
You have to be.
If you, there could easily be someone out there that there's been something that's going on, and you know that you were wrong, right? You're holding yourself accountable to the wrong that you did. And you call them and you apologize to them, and they say, okay, it's cool, all is forgiven. And then if you are thinking that the conversation is supposed to keep going, I don't want you to think like that, because that does not issue you a right to be in their life. They can say, I forgive you, but you're not coming back into my life. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that they don't forgive you. It just means that they're creating and setting a boundary that we were once cool, now we're not, all is forgiven, but I'm not even going to give you the chance to try to do that again. There's a maturity in that. A lot of people feel like, oh, that's whack, that's wrong. We should be able to get back to how we were. Not necessarily. You have to respect the fact that they can forgive you, but not want you back in their space. People have a right to protect their space and create boundaries. Oftentimes, people are running around here reckless and they have no boundaries. And then when you give them boundaries, they feel like you're doing them wrong. This is the reason why I'm giving you a boundary, because you don't understand accountability. Accountability is so important. Also, when you apologize to someone, do not say, if I hurt you. Don't do that.
I know I hurt you, so I apologize.
Just say, I know I hurt you, and I apologize. And don't say anything more. Don't add a but, because the but negates everything else.
Right. Just say, I apologize.
If you are coming, completely surrendering the situation and acknowledging your part in whatever happened, right, that is between you and them. Now, if they played a part in it and you're expecting something from them that they may not see or ready to see, you have to be in a space to let that go. Don't approach someone if you're trying to get something back with an expectation that they should give you something back. Right. You're not ready to apologize. Right. You're not ready to walk away from that. You're putting more torment on yourself and on them. A lot of people have an expectation of people that they should not have.
Let me say this. I want to stop you there. In marital counseling, and when individuals are engaged or dating, the boundaries are still there. However, it is something that I use. It's called my second chance technique. Where would we be without second chances? And you are correct. I don't have to let you back in, just like my ex and my friend said, I forgive you, but I'm not letting you back into that. We are good. Praise the Lord. God bless you. Bye-bye. And in marriage, listen to me, married couples and those who are dating or are engaged, you have an obligation, responsibility to your spouse to forgive and to give a second chance and a third chance. Now, I'm not talking about domestic violence. I'm not talking about addictions. Even if you're willing to go through something, and I'm willing to go through that with you. But I'm talking about allowing yourself to heal and recognize that that person has changed. You have to look at the person in a different light. Now, it's still up to you to say whether or not you want to bring that person back into your life or not. But by the grace of God, that person has changed. And you see the benefits of that change. They're no longer using or bringing up the past or hurting you. Now, I agree with you, ML6. I have to respect my boundaries, my mind space. And if that person says to me, I can't be with you, then I have to move on. And I have to accept that and not look for any expectations. But if that person wants to have a dialogue and I choose to allow that person back in my space, that's my choice. And that's between the two of us. Be mindful. Don't let other people's relationship dictate your relationship. Every relationship is different. I'm talking about mental health. I'm talking about suicide prevention, because people will take their lives because of those false expectations. But I believed, I thought, like ML6 said, no, that's what you thought. And you have to be clear. Be clear in your conversation and your communication with your children, with the person, your partner, your spouse, people on your job. Be clear. That's why I don't like texting and all that. I prefer picking up the phone. How are we? What is the definition of our relationship? Are we just friends and that's it? Then I'm fine. And then I can move on with my life. And when someone says to you, I don't know how long it's going to take, I need time. It's up to you to give that person time or not, or it's up to you to move on. All I'm saying to you is be healthy. You must be healthy in every decision that you make. So how do we be healthy, ML6? Number one, you have to understand how to avoid negativity in your life, how to prevent someone from putting that expectation on you that's not healthy for you. Abuse, be mindful that you have zero tolerance of abuse. Say that with me. Zero tolerance for abuse. Emotionally, mentally, physically, psychologically, or sexually. Zero tolerance. And I need to love on me. I remember, Micha, you said to me, Mommy, you need to take time for you. Love on you. Find out who you are. Because I've been through something so traumatizing. And these last few months have been so renewing for me, because I've been on my own, just working through some things and helping me be able to love on me and where I am in my life. And it's been so refreshing. Another thing that I've been doing, I'm fasting and praying, asking God to move in my life like never before. I know people say we shouldn't talk about what we're fasting or whatever, but that is a great tool to use and shut something down. I came off social media for a week and I'll be fasting, because God is doing something new and great in my life. So let me say this. You have a choice. You have a choice to love yourself or deprive yourself of love. I choose to love myself and to be good to myself to the best of my ability by God's grace. And you have a choice who you want in your circle or who you don't. be very mindful. As the ML6 says, don't put unrealistic expectations and set real boundaries for your mental health. For your mental health. Protect your mental health at whatever cost. Protect it. Even if it means you got to close the door. Maybe that door will open at a later time. But right now, I've got to pull myself back together. And Dr. Kim is closing doors. I'm closing doors because I've got to protect my mental health now. ML6?
I mean, I think with it being National Suicide Prevention Month, be aware of the people that you share a space with. Be aware of, listen to what people are saying and also listen to what they aren't saying.
That's right.
People are going through a lot right now. There are a lot of just, it's like life is happening right now.
Yes.
And it's easy to call someone and be like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm cool, or I'm okay, or I'm blessed and highly favored. And it's just like, no. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Sometimes you just have to take that question to the next level. Now, listen, if they don't want to talk to you, that means that they don't trust you. Sometimes it means that they don't know how to communicate.
We don't know how.
Sometimes they don't feel like they feel like they don't want to be a burden to you. Also, before you call someone and just dump everything on them, take time to ask someone, do you have the capacity to hold what I'm about to drop?
Come on now. Come on.
It's very important because everybody is going through something, be it big or small.
Yeah.
You don't want to just get on the phone, get on FaceTime, get on a Zoom and just start talking. And you have no idea that the person that you're talking to was 0.2 seconds from literally losing their mind. And you're so caught up in your stuff that you didn't even take into consideration that there's a possibility that they may be carrying some stuff today too. Also, not every situation is relatable. Sometimes somebody just needs you to listen. They don't need you to talk back.
Right.
There's nothing sometimes that you can say to a person to make them feel like you really understand what they're going through because you are not them. Sometimes it is okay to shut your mouth and not say a word and just listen. Those are one of the things my Uncle Jim, that one of the things that I loved about him. When he worked at Oakwood in the chaplain's office, I would come, whatever was going on with me else, run across campus, fly in the office, and he would be like, you're not gonna check in? No. I would fly in the office and he would just listen to me. I could literally say it how I felt it. I would say it, ladies and gentlemen. I would say it, okay? And he didn't judge me. He didn't scold me. He didn't hit me with a bunch of scriptures. He just listened. He was my uncle. And he knew I just needed his ear. I'm at a point in my life where I ask people, do you want me to respond or don't you? I want people to feel like they can come to me for either or, and it be okay.
Right.
I love the fact that I am in a space with my friends where we ask each other, what's your headspace today? I love the fact that I have friends who can hit me up and say, hey, I'm being quiet right now. I'll hit you when I get back. And I say to them, I'll just be praying for you while you're being obedient in the process. Sometimes people don't want to talk, and you have to give them that respect. You have to honor that. Now, there are some times when you have to be like, hey, I ain't heard from you in a while. I want to check and make sure you're good. I'm good. I'm just taking some time right now. Listen, handle you. Do not be offended because someone doesn't want to tell you their business. It could be your best friend. Don't be offended because you don't know what God is telling them to do in that moment. God could literally be telling them, I don't need you to say nothing to nobody but me. And you got to respect that. Stop feeling away. Everybody lets to feel away. Oh, you didn't tell me that was going on with you. Or you didn't tell me that you were feeling like that. Or you didn't. I'm learning that nobody is obligated to tell you anything.
They're not
obligated to tell you anything. It is a choice. It is not personal.
Right.
And I have had a bad habit of like, especially if they're close to me, like, why you just didn't tell me? And they're like, oh, one, I didn't know how. Da 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 da. Now listen, don't be out here lying to people. Now, don't be lying to people. Tell them the truth. If you don't have it in you to speak on it, then don't speak on it. But please don't lie.
Don't lie.
Something
Now
else.
I got a problem. Or commission. If I ask you a question and you just you don't even answer it, and you feel like, okay, omission or commission. So that's being deceitful. So I'm like, you know what? You're not obligated to tell me anything. Yeah. One thing that I have learned, I've been going through something the last few months. And one thing that I've learned is that I am accepting people where they are. And I'm learning how to be in a place, because I talk to people all day. People talk to me all day, being a psychological counselor. At the end of the day, when I come home, I get a chance to talk to you, Micha, but, believing God that he is going to bless me with someone that I can just talk to, and they can listen to me and I can listen to him. And I won't have to feel uncomfortable, or I don't have to be threatened by what I say, or I have to be shut down, and that's one thing I've learned in these last few months, how to be quiet and be still so that I can hear what God has to say to me and who he has for me. Mommy does not want to, I enjoy friends and companionship, but having someone special one day who will be able to embrace me and be able to say, listen, you can talk to me. So let me say this. In mental health, set your boundaries, know exactly where you are. Don't be afraid to tell a person right now, I can't communicate with you. It's okay. I don't know when I'll be able to talk with you, but I can take maybe some baby steps. And all I can do right now is maybe text you here and there or send you a message. That's fine. But also realize that that person is also healing and growing and moving forward, without you. Don't be afraid to move forward. Don't go backwards. Go forward. If you know, and you said something really powerful, ML6, don't approach a person. If you know a person has avoidance personality, where they avoid, they shut down, they may holler and scream at you, they don't want to answer your questions, all right? That's avoidance. So therefore, you have to just stand down. Pray for that person, pray for them, but you got to keep growing and keep going. You cannot stay stuck where they are in that modality. Did you do that? Did you go there? Did you, what? ML6, free yourself of it. And what did you say, ML6? Get this out of your space. You are not going to ride the elevator in my brain, and move forward. And so I say this to all of you, and I'm taking my own advice. I am freeing myself so that I can live my life to the fullest and be prepared for what and who God has for Dr. Kim. And I ask that you do the same. Don't hold grudges. Forgive that person, and it's okay not to let that person back in your space. It's okay. All right. And if you have a best friend and you were a best friend to that person, maybe down the road you can be best friends again, but take your time. Take your time. And I encourage everyone to change for the better. I know Dr. Kim has changed for the better. I've learned so much by going through several tests in the last 3 months. I've learned so much, and so without a test, you don't have a testimony. So I say this to you. God is able. He's a forgiving God, and you can free yourself right now today. And so I want to congratulate you. I celebrate you. And Micha, that's important. We celebrate all the wins, the small, the medium, and the large. And I want to thank my daughter. Children are, let me tell you, they're wise. And my daughter snatched me up and she just said, no more. you must take time for you. And that's what I'm doing. So let me tell you, rejection can be a blessing. When relationships end, and romantic relationship, friendships, whatever, it could be a blessing that God is telling you to be still, sit down, wait for me to move, and you may not be able again to call that person, talk to that person, but eventually by God's grace, you will be able to sit down and talk, because that's the only way you can find true healing, is to be able to talk it out. ML6?
That's it. You all live free, and remember that everybody is going through something. So please be kind. Please be kind.
Be kind. Let's not forget those who are grieving, loss of loved ones, spouses. People are still dying of COVID. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
And I'm Micha, ML6 Logan.
And remember to live to be well. Good night and God bless.
Bye.